Hello there, it's Haley with the Armageddon Report. It is Drought Thursday, however, because there's a potential derecho event already kicking off, we're just going to only briefly talk about this. So in case you didn't know, most of the country in a drought, either abnormally dry or officially in a drought D1 through D4. If we go, and over here, here's the drought outlook that's until October 31st, saying that most of the areas are going to get, either they're going to persist or they're going to get even worse with the development. However, Arizona, bits of New Mexico, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, some improvement. But for most of the country, it's either going to stay the same or be not very fun. So if you like numbers, here's some fun statistics. So last week, exceptional drought is D4. Last week, nearly 1% of the country was in the exceptional drought. Now, 2.38%. Now, compared to last year, it actually looks pretty good, because last year this time, 10.9%. However, if you look at things like this, the D0 through D4 last year, 37% in the country was either abnormally dry or officially in a drought. Right now, 80%. That is just flippin' bonkers. So, on to the derecho. So here's how you know that things are serious or something, because I put together a keynote slide. So here is the severe weather outlook for today. Widespread damaging wind event possible. Potential derecho event. If you remember the last one, people without power for ages. And of course, what's more fun than being without power in the middle of a heat, event? There is nothing more fun than that, of course. But hurricane strength winds are possible, 75 miles per hour and greater. Potential for widespread power outages again and probable flight delays. So we're going to talk about the map shortly to see if you're actually in the area. Hopefully you already know by the time you're watching this. But here are the preparations you should do. Now, don't do this once, the thing is overhead. You want to do this, well in advance. Anyway, get gas if you need it. Get petrol. Get your petrol. Do you call it that? No. Get gas if you need it, as the pumps require electricity. I did not know this. I read this somewhere else. That's not my advice. Maybe the line, maybe the solar power, but probably not. Anyway, bring in anything from outside that could be blown about, especially because you don't want it to become a missile that lodges itself in the side of your house. That would be bad. And put your vehicle in the garage to protect it from debris and hail damage. And of course, if you might need a lot of advance notice if you need to clear out some space in your garage. And of course, if you're at work right now, you can't really do anything about it anyway. So let's talk about actually what's happening. Here are the flight delays as they stand right now, and I don't believe the thunderstorms are even that far over yet, but we've already got flight delays for parts of the country. And yeah, and it's only going to get worse, of course. So here's the actual map. So you notice up here, anytime that there's like a moderate risk or higher, the Storm Prediction Center issues a public weather outlook, PWO I believe it's called, where it actually is put in human terms, or somewhat human terms or something anyway. So yes, and every time I do that, then it loses the map settings. There we go. So the orange area today is where the concentration of the threat is, but look how big this yellow area is with all of the slight risk. And you can read over here, significant winds possible. That would be the hurricane force winds, 30% chance of hail, 5% chance of a tornado. So let's look at the actual, here is the wind map. Here's the big story. So the 45% is what the moderate risk is. So we've got that. And not only that, but it's basically, in fact, it looks like today it overlaps exactly. So the 45% area is also the black hatched area today. So that means not only, for instance, let's take this point in Pennsylvania. That means that this point, because it's 45%, there's nearly a 1 in 2 chance that that point, or someone within a 25-mile radius of them, there's nearly a 1 in 2 chance that they will see a severe wind event. And then not only that, but not only will it be potentially a severe wind event, but a significant wind event, which instead of just 58 miles per hour and greater, puts it at 75 miles per hour and greater. And that gets you a Category 1 hurricane, basically. So, hail, not as much of a threat, but on any other day, 30% would be pretty high to talk about. So that would mean nearly a 1 in 3 chance that anybody in the red area or within a 25-mile radius of them would have a 1 in 3 chance of seeing severe hail. There'd be 1 inch or larger. Tornado chance, luckily it's somewhat more isolated, but still affecting quite a few states. A 5% chance for basically Pennsylvania, New York. Well, we got Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey. So that would mean, like, for instance, this point in New York, There's a 5% chance at that point or someone within a 25-mile radius of them will see a tornado today. So let's go back and let's see. Now this will be out of date surely by the time you're watching this, because more watches have been issued and there's a whole bunch of mesoscale discussions in effect for potential watches that are kicking off. So we actually have a tornado watch today, expires at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then the other two are just severe thunderstorm watches. But of course, you know, when you're talking about a huge wave of damaging winds, you know, in many ways that can be scarier than a tornado. Tornadoes tend to be, you know, not isolated, but, you know, the damage they cause is somewhat isolated because they're way smaller than this huge Boeing line segment that you can see here. So this thing has already kicked off, and I won't even look at the warnings because it will be way out of date by the time you're reading this. But when I've been monitoring this, lots of severe thunderstorm warnings, some tornado warnings along this as well. Tornadoes today, the good news, bad news is that most of the tornadoes, when you've got this kind of thing, supercells, which are the isolated things, those are the things that spawn like the really monster massive tornadoes, or I should say can spawn, because it's not like it's 100% guarantee or something. But these types of storm systems tend to produce like short-lived things. They call them, I think, QLCS spin-ups or whatever, quasi-linear convective systems, lots of acronyms. But anyway, so the good news, bad news is, the good news is they tend to be short-lived, but the bad news is they can be quite intense, and you want to treat it, if you are under tornado warning, you want to treat it just as you would any other tornado warning, because, you know, if that short-lived thing ends up hitting your house, you know, you don't care that it only lasted for 30 seconds or whatnot. So, tomorrow, not as quite as huge of a threat, at least as of now. We've got down, like, as compared to today, with 45%, it's just a 15%. So we've got a lot of the same areas that might potentially be affected today, could be affected tomorrow as well. And then back here with Montana, Wyoming, and South Dakota. And here's the probability map where you can see the 5% areas around it, where, you know, obviously not as much of a threat because it's just a 5%. And then this confusing thing where it says no thunderstorm areas forecast, so we quickly go on over to here and say, hey, day 3, just 5%. And it's not, you know, half of the country, so that's good or something. Days 4 through 8, predictability too low. Right, so that means that in the medium range, there is some sort of severe weather event potentially predicted. Or I shouldn't say event, there is severe weather, because it's not necessarily, today is like an event. Not, you know, if you get one isolated tornado out of nowhere, that's not an event. You know, but a tornado outbreak, that's an event. Anyway, off of that tangent. So that means severe weather is predicted in days 4 through 8, but timing and location is not yet certain enough. So obviously, we keep an eye on that. And now we go to this, the thing we saved for last or something, cyclocane.com. Well, we normally would have covered near the beginning, but because there's nothing really going on yet. So this tropical storm, the potential tropical storm Gilmer, was as high as 90% at one point, and now it's down to 10%. And then over here in the Atlantic, what was as high, I believe, as 40% is now back down to none. Now over here in the Northwest Pacific, we're up to a medium chance of tropical cyclone formation. So, you know, we just had, and now I can't remember its name, but we just had the thing that came through and hit Hong Kong and was dropping stuff that rapidly intensified, and I can't believe that I can't remember the name. Yeah, that's embarrassing. Anyway, so that's what is going on. That's what's potentially going to go on in the world of cyclones, typhoons, hurricanes, etc. SevereWeatherTV.com is the official homepage of this lovely screencast, whatever it is you're watching, where you can get things like weather links, or you can click on here to read the drought page that we covered earlier. I don't know. And then, of course, for your severe thunderstorm news, there's WickedWix, WICKEDWX.com, or Storm Prediction Center, or weather.gov, wherever you get your weather, because if you're in the orange area today, you should absolutely be paying attention. If you can, go out and get yourself a weather radio if you don't already own one. But of course, you know, if it's right overhead, don't get in the car unless you have to, because you don't want to put yourself in harm's way. So anyway, that's it for today. Hope you stay safe out there. You know, hopefully nothing major happens. You know, but I don't know where to go with that. You know, my hoping doesn't help anyway. Help anyone is what I meant to say. Anyway, yes, stay safe out there.